Hi there, I'm Kimberly Smathers from ATN, and I have got the pleasure today of talking with Meagan Baldwin. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So I understand that you work with a series of exercises, and I'm going to ask you to please tell us about them that are summarized as Bal-A-Vis-X, Bal-A-Vis-X.
Yeah, so Bal-A-Vis-X is an acronym for Balance, Auditory, Vision Exercises. And the program was started about 30 years ago by Bill Hubert out of Wichita, Kansas. And he taught first grade. And he noticed that there were three groups of children that he taught.
Yeah.
And the first group of children was the largest group. And those are the kids that learned no matter what, sometimes even in spite of him. They learned the first grade curriculum. And then there was the second group of kids, which was a little smaller. And those were the kids with a little extra time and a little extra care. They usually kicked in between Christmas and spring break.
Yeah.
And then there was the third group of kids, and those were the kids that no matter what you did, they just never kicked in academically. And what he started to notice was those were the same kids who could not swing on a swing, and they couldn't balance on a balance beam, and they couldn't jump off a chair and hit the ground with 2 feet.
Yeah.
So he became very curious about how if we could work on the physical, what we could see, if we could improve those motor movements, would that improve their learning? He was just curious about that. And that's where Bal-A-Vis-X started about 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. Are there certain challenges in particular that the exercises are best for, or it sounds like it's pretty flexible for that whole kind of group of kids?
Yeah, so one of the beautiful things about Bal-A-Vis-X is that it's rooted in rhythm, and our bodies are rooted in rhythm. I mean, our bodies are rooted with our heartbeats. And so rhythm regulates our system, which is where a lot of those outward behaviors and things that we see, it's all rooted in our nervous systems.
Yeah.
And if we can find a way to provide patterned, repetitive, rhythmic movement, that is just going to calm our nervous systems in general, which just makes things in life easier. Things, executive functioning skills and our SEL core competencies, all of those things are rooted in our nervous systems. And if we can help that out and provide that rhythmic activity, it just makes, I usually just say it just makes us function better and makes our lives easier, the things we have to do in life.
I can definitely see that. And I can see why you would be here with us today at a Trauma Sensitive Schools Conference, given that, supportiveness for the nervous system. Can you say a little bit about how this supports trauma-informed principles?
Sure, absolutely. So we've done a lot of work recently about, first I will preface this in saying that it's very difficult to put the beauty and the complexity of Bal-A-Vis-X into words without people actually seeing it and hearing it. I've been working on that, and it's proved to be very difficult. So the best I can do is to lay it out for people in working with and thinking about our executive functioning skills. So things like working memory and task initiation, and those are all things that we can physically practice, and we can practice those things in an intentional way with exercises. That the most beautiful thing about Bal-A-Vis-X is that it's all based on technique.
Yeah.
The success of the exercises and the rhythm all comes from technique that anyone can learn. And so it really is an all-inclusive program that the very simple techniques, why they can be difficult for some people until their nervous systems kind of kick in, that repetitive piece, but it's something that is inclusive to all. We can teach anyone to use a sandbag and some racquetballs to bring anybody into a state of integration.
Yeah. Well, are there some kind of example exercises you can tell us about? And I realize it's probably challenging a bit without your equipment here, but what are maybe some simple ones that someone might do?
Do you want to see one?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me grab my sandbag. Yeah, I'll show you.
Let's do it.
Sure. And we can do Bal-A-Vis-X, almost all of the exercises from a seated position.
Okay.
All right. If I gave you the sandbag and asked you to throw it, which arm would you use?
My right hand. Okay. Ah. Oh, this is so interesting. So it's, and as I started to comment, I forgot what you had done, but I can see the need to watch and observe closely and to be very present so I understand what's happening and then to reciprocate.
Yes.
That's
And
powerful. Yeah.
the beauty of this is what did you hear me say?
I heard you say nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you just learned a new skill, and who gets the credit for that? You do.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
students get the credit, or the learner gets the credit.
Yeah. And I can see how accessible that would be for folks with differing motor skills or language skills to still find ways to participate.
Yes, absolutely. It's we talk a lot about using our eyes to figure things out.
Oh, that's interesting. How do you explain it to children when they're being engaged? Is it understood as a game, just an activity, or is there any kind of explanation around it?
Sure. When I can, I teach the kids about their brains and about regulating their brainstem and how that works, like how our sensory input comes in and then how it can kind of get discombobulated in the middle if we're not careful. And then what some strategies we can use to bring ourselves back into a state of regulation.
Yeah.
So that's where I start. And then, we don't ever talk about Bal-A-Vis-X being a game. We talk about being exercises to strengthen the different parts of our brain.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And how did you come to this?
So I was teaching 5th grade at a health and wellness elementary school. And that was about 15 years ago. And it was kind of the time when education started to shift and the needs of our kids were changing.
Yeah.
And so I decided as an educator that I had to figure out a way to help those kids or I had to get out of education.
Yeah.
And I came across the work of Bill. I mean, he lives in Wichita, which is just a few minutes from me. I went to a summer training and then I was able then to go right back and implement it into my 5th grade classroom and never went back.
Well, maybe last question, if we have time, I think we do. Any kind of examples or success stories that you've observed in the classroom that you'd like to share?
Sure. One of my favorite examples is a young 4th grade reader who she had reading fluency. She was never quite quick enough, for what we in the world of education decided to be a quick reader.
Yeah.
And what we noticed was that her eyes weren't tracking correctly. So she would track across and then she would skip and then she would track across and then she would skip. And so we used some of the sandbag and the ball exercises, and we just gave her a very specific place to look so that we could strengthen those eye muscles. And within just a month or two, she was gaining 15 words a month.
Oh, well, and that's powerful, and that avoids hopefully some of the, I would say shame, but kind of the feelings a kid might have being kind of, singled out to learn a skill. It sounds, very engaging. Yep. Well, any final words you'd like to share? I think you've got your session coming up Tuesday.
We'll be in the main hall over lunch for a Bal-A-Vis-X demo, and then I will talk about it a little bit in my session that I'll do tomorrow right after the keynote.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, in a free demo for me. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much.